When you stop calling and texting a woman, the very first thing that happens inside her mind is a wave of shock and curiosity. Whether she admits it or not, women are very tuned into patterns, and when you've been consistently present, reaching out, giving her that steady stream of attention, she gets used to it. It becomes part of her daily rhythm. So when that suddenly disappears, it's not just silence, it's a disruption. She starts to notice her phone more. She starts to check notifications more often. And even though she might try to act unbothered, her curiosity is already at work. Why did he stop? Did something happen? Is he losing interest? These questions begin to echo in her mind. At this stage, it's not always about deep emotion. It's about a shift in energy. Women are naturally sensitive to changes in attention, and silence can be louder than any words. But as the silence stretches longer, it goes beyond curiosity. It begins to touch her sense of value. Attention from a man, especially one she respects or is drawn to, is like a mirror reflecting her importance. When you were calling, texting, checking in, she felt validated. It reassured her that she mattered, that she had your focus. When that validation is suddenly gone, she starts testing her own worth in her mind. She may ask herself, did I do something wrong? Was I not enough? Did I push him away? Or she may try to flip it, saying, maybe he's just busy, maybe he'll call tomorrow. But deep down, she feels the absence. For women, attention isn't just about words, it's about presence. When it's gone, it stirs both doubt and desire. This is where her emotional investment really starts to show. If she truly valued you, that missing energy will feel like a gap in her world. If she was only half interested, she may not feel it as strongly. Either way, by stopping the chase, you've created a mirror for her own feelings. Now, here's where the power of absence really shows itself. Men often think they need to keep pushing, keep pursuing, keep showing interest to maintain attraction. But the truth is, space is just as powerful, sometimes even more powerful, than constant attention. When you stop flooding her with calls and texts, you give her something she didn't even realize she needed: room to reflect. She finally has the quiet to ask herself how much she truly cares, how much she misses you, and whether she's willing to invest. Attraction isn't built when everything is handed on a silver platter. Attraction grows in the spaces, in the gaps, in the moments when she realizes your presence isn't guaranteed. By pulling back, you give her the chance to feel that absence in her own heart. If her feelings are real, they will rise to the surface stronger than before. If they're not, your silence will simply reveal the truth. Either way, your absence becomes the test, and the answer comes not from what she says, but from how she responds when you're no longer chasing. That's why smart men understand this principle. You don't lose value when you stop calling and texting. You actually discover your true value, because her reaction tells you everything you need to know. When you stop calling and texting a woman, one of the most predictable things she will do is test your resolve. Understand this clearly. Women are wired to test. They test to see if you mean what you say, they test to see if your frame is strong, and they test to see whether your confidence is real or just surface level. So after you've gone silent, don't be surprised if she sends you a small message, maybe something simple like "Hey," or "What's up?" Or perhaps she'll react indirectly, liking an old photo of yours, watching your stories more closely, or dropping hints on social media. These aren't random acts, they're probes. She's checking to see whether you'll jump at the bait, whether you'll break your silence and come chasing again. A smart man recognizes this for what it is, a test of his strength. If you crumble at the first little ping, you communicate that your silence wasn't real confidence. It was just a game you couldn't sustain. But if you hold steady, if you stay calm and respond with balance, or sometimes don't respond at all, you show her that your actions come from true self-control, not from a need for attention. That's when she starts to respect you more, because she sees that you're not easily swayed. Now, as you continue holding your ground, something interesting begins to happen. Her attraction actually starts to increase because of the scarcity of your attention. This is a principle men often overlook. When something is rare, its value rises. Think about it. If you were always calling, always texting, always available, your presence became ordinary, expected. She didn't have to do anything to earn it, but the moment you pull back, your attention suddenly transforms into something precious. She realizes that she can't take it for granted anymore. Your texts, your calls, your time, they become valuable currency. And because scarcity creates desire, she starts to think about you more. She may replay old conversations in her head. She may recall the times you made her laugh. She may even start to compare you with the men who flood her with constant attention. And in that comparison, you rise above because your silence has set you apart. You're no longer just another man seeking her approval. You've become a man whose attention must be earned. And that's exactly what makes her attraction grow. But here's where the real clarity comes in. When you stop chasing, her true level of interest is revealed. This is the turning point. A woman who never had genuine feelings will quietly drift away because there's nothing to pull her forward. But a woman who values you, who actually cares, won't be able to ignore the silence for long. She will initiate. She will text you first. She will put in effort because the absence of your attention awakens her own desire. This is why smart men understand the power of stepping back. It filters out the women who are not serious from the ones who are. You no longer have to guess about her intentions. Her behavior tells you everything. The woman who truly likes you will come closer when you stop chasing because she feels that pull inside. And the woman who doesn't was never going to give you what you wanted anyway. Either way, you win, because you gain the truth without wasting time, energy, or dignity. That's the beauty of it. When you stop chasing, she will test you, she will feel the scarcity, and then her real interest will be revealed, and that truth is exactly what sets you free. When you stop calling and texting a woman, another thing you'll often see is her attempt to regain control of the situation. Respect this truth. Women don't just sit still when they feel like they're losing their grip. If she felt secure in your pursuit before, your silence will push her into action. She might suddenly become more active on social media, posting pictures meant to get your attention. She might talk about other men, not necessarily because she's with them, but to spark jealousy and see if you'll react. She might even accidentally bump into you in places she knows you'll be, or send playful but indirect messages like, "Haven't heard from you in a while." These moves are not coincidences. They're strategies to see if she can pull you back into her frame. And this is where most men fail. They get excited, they rush back in, and they undo the very progress they made by holding back. A smart man recognizes these behaviors for what they are, attempts to see if his silence has weakened him, and instead of chasing, he stays grounded. He allows her to come forward, but he doesn't hand back control too easily. And here's where the magic happens when you don't chase. Respect grows. Understand this. Respect is not built by doing everything she wants. Respect is built when she sees that your life, your value, and your focus exist beyond her. When she realizes that your attention is not cheap, not given out to anyone and everyone, but something earned, her admiration increases. The moment you stop chasing, you teach her a powerful lesson. that you are a man with standards, with discipline, and with self-respect, and women, especially respectful ones, are drawn to that. She might pout, she might test, she might even complain, but deep down, she feels more secure with a man who doesn't fold at the first sign of pressure. This is why silence is such a powerful move, because it communicates strength without you having to say a single word. And the longer you hold that frame, the deeper her respect grows. But silence is not about ignoring forever. It's about creating balance. A smart man understands the importance of patience and response. You don't chase, but you also don't play games indefinitely. You allow her to invest, to reach out, to take the first step, and when she does, you meet her halfway. You don't flood her with attention all over again because that would undo the scarcity you created. Instead, you match her energy. If she sends a small message, you respond calmly but without overdoing it. If she shows genuine effort, you reward it with attention, but always in proportion. This balance creates a healthy dynamic where she knows your attention is valuable, but also that it's not impossible to access. You are not punishing her, you're guiding the relationship toward respect and mutual effort. This is how attraction grows naturally, not from overpursuit, not from endless silence, but from a rhythm where both sides invest in a way that feels earned. That's the truth. When you stop calling and texting, she may try to regain control, but your strength makes her respect you more, and your patience in responding creates a balance that turns her respect into real desire. When you finally reach the point of not calling and not texting a woman anymore, what really happens is that the entire relationship shifts into a moment of truth. Up until that point, everything could be covered with words, excuses, mixed signals, or your own effort filling the gaps. But when you stop, when you step back, when the silence stretches, that's when reality begins to reveal itself. And here's the key: the outcome defines the entire relationship. For so long, you may have been the one carrying the weight, initiating, proving, showing interest, keeping things alive. Maybe she enjoyed that attention, maybe she got comfortable, maybe she assumed you'd always be there waiting. But when you decide to stop, you break that pattern. Now the spotlight shifts. The ball is in her court, and she has to decide whether she actually values you enough to step forward. That's why silence is so powerful, because it forces clarity. It strips away all the pretending. A woman who doesn't truly care won't suddenly change. She'll quietly drift away, she'll get distracted, or she'll let the connection fade. And as hard as that may feel, it's actually a gift. It frees you from wasting more time on someone who never had the depth of interest you deserved. But if she does care, if she does respect you, that's when everything changes. The absence of your presence becomes too loud to ignore. She'll feel the void. She'll feel the lack of energy she used to take for granted, and she'll be pushed to act. Maybe she texts first, maybe she calls, maybe she finds a way to bump into you. The method doesn't matter, the effort does. And that effort is proof. It's her way of saying without words, "You matter. I don't want to lose you." That's when you finally get to see her real level of interest, not through what she says, but through what she does when she thinks she might lose you. And here's the best part. No matter which way it goes, you win. If she fades out, you win because you've gained clarity, you've protected your self-respect, and you've saved yourself from giving more energy to someone who wasn't invested. If she steps up, you win because now you have confirmation that her feelings are real and her respect for you is strong. Either way, you're no longer left in confusion. You're no longer guessing, no longer overthinking, no longer stuck wondering where you stand. The silence gives you the truth, and the truth is what sets you free. That's why the outcome defines the relationship. It exposes everything that was hidden, and a man who has the truth always walks away stronger.